Welcome, YouTube fans. We are here with celebrities this time. To my right, we have what looks to be Tiger Woods, but with close inspection, probably is not. And then to my left, we have I Lose Weight Quickly Randy, and myself, not clean-shaving Mike, and we're here, Offsides, Week 13 of the NFL. We're going to talk about a couple of games off the bat here. Broncos, Chiefs, again, another tough, great matchup. Broncos had to win this in order to get pretty much the division, and then also hopefully get the number one seed. They did a really great job. Obviously, Decker and Manning teamed up in this game, looked really, really good. Do the Broncos have too many weapons for teams like the Chiefs that they might see in the playoffs later on, or teams like the Patriots they might see later on? Do they have too many weapons where they are hard to be stopped, or did the Patriots kind of prove otherwise a week prior to that the Broncos have some weaknesses?
To me, the Broncos don't really have a lot of weaknesses except for cold weather.
Okay.
Really, really cold weather that's windy, that's the weakness for that team. It's like otherwise...
If I have to rely on the run game with no Sean, I mean, he 200 yards in New England, and then obviously we had a decent game with Monty Ball, you know.
Yep.
Monte can hang on to the ball.
Can hang on to the ball. I mean,
yeah, because we didn't get to do Monte fumbles the ball last week.
That's right. That's right. So, if it's cold, are we going to win? I mean, it's going to be cold in Denver if we got home field advantage.
It's going to be cold at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be cold.
New York.
Right. So
I'm picking the Seahawks to beat them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but what about the Broncos in the playoffs? I mean, we know they're going to go. But what are they going to look like getting to those games? I mean, we got to play some in Mile High, obviously. And if they make it to the Super Bowl, like you said, New York.
Yeah, I think
it's
a cold weather road for them the entire way through.
Yeah. So get used to it.
That's tough.
Put up or shut up type thing.
I don't really see it as a problem.
Sure.
Because Colorado, we live here, so we know it's a dry cold. It's not that bad. It is out east. It is out east when you go to New York. And there's that freezing rain.
Yep.
That's where it could definitely become a problem.
Yeah. I
foresee 65 degrees on Super Bowl day in early February in New York.
Here.
Thank goodness he is not a weather man.
Hey, the weather people make just as bad of predictions as that on a normal basis.
Back to you, Al.
But great game, obviously. It was back and forth. The Chiefs hung in there. They really were slinging the ball around. Obviously, had a lot of drops. I think the Chiefs learn off of this, and I think they're gonna make a pretty good run. I think in the playoffs. I don't see any other teams really competing against them. The top three I see are obviously the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Patriots.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone else really shining there, and we'll talk about some of the playoffs later. And then we have Ravens Steelers. Now I picked the Steelers to kind of come back, so to speak, and win this division. And they had every opportunity to win this game, and they have every opportunity to hopefully maybe win the division, but Cincinnati doesn't lead that by a couple of games. The Ravens, though, proved that they will stick to their guns, stick to their game. Had some great returning ability from, I believe it was Jones. So, obviously with Tomlin not trying to trip him, obviously on the sidelines. But, I mean, is it... Which of these teams are better? I mean, it's a 2-point win. I mean, which one looks better? Ravens or Steelers? Steelers or Ravens? Or does it depend on the day of the week?
I couldn't tell you which team was better.
I still think it's the Ravens. The Ravens are the defending Super Bowl champs.
That doesn't mean anything. They're not the same team.
They still have enough there that they're better than the Steelers. What we see from the Steelers is it's an aging team. Okay. It's like the young players that they have really don't seem to play with any kind of real direction.
Yeah.
You got Mike Tomlin, who's now standing on the field trying to stop. He's trying to become a 12th man himself instead of letting the fans do it. Tomlin wants to be the 12th man on the field.
Right.
I think he really knows that his defense is terrible, and he's just trying to help.
He's trying to help him.
I don't see any kind of stars on that Raven offense. Ray Rice isn't even around.
Yeah, Ray hasn't been much production.
Well, I mean, if we're talking who's better out of those two teams, then in my opinion, it's the Ravens. If we're talking who's better in the AFC, no, there's about 5 or 6 other teams that are better than the Ravens, and 7 or 8 other teams better than the Steelers.
Right.
So I just see it as the Ravens are better of the two, but neither one is going to make any kind of a significant splash in the playoffs. If either one of them make it.
Do one of these teams have a chance to win their division?
No. Cincinnati's
Cincinnati's
going to lock
taking
this up.
taking that all the
Cincinnati's
way.
taking it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cincinnati will
You heard it
probably
here.
win it by 2 games.
Win it by 2 games.
They'll win it by. They'll have it. They'll sit Dalton for
We'll
the
see.
last week.
Wait till you hear about their bad calls that they have.
Yeah.
Good calls. All right, and then the last game,
But we did pick Cincy to win the division. Good call.
Lions,
Why are we gotta talk about this?
Packers. We got to talk about this game because Tiger Woods wants to talk about this game.
I don't want to talk about it.
It was fantastic. Now, usually it's a role reversal. We've grown up. It's like Detroit signed like the life lease to play on Thanksgiving Day, and so you get a chance to watch the Detroit Lions get murdered at the hands of whatever team they were playing.
Yep.
And this time around, it was role reversal. Detroit took them down.
Yeah.
The Packers. I mean, took them down. Now,
Well,
if
put this into context.
yes,
Aaron Rodgers has never lost to the Lions.
okay, yeah. Well, his whole team did. So.
Wait a minute, what does Aaron Rodgers have to do with it? The whole time I saw him standing on the sidelines with this mustache, looking like he was going to film another discount double check commercial.
That's the only thing I saw him active in was in those commercials.
That
Okay,
just
so that
tells
was
you
about it.
How bad this team is
Do you,
without.
do you notice that George Wendt was biting on the bad shoulder in the commercial?
There you
I'm
go.
thinking that's how he injured
That's how he
him.
got injured.
It's
So I
like
mean,
George Wendt took a bite.
Lions, they beat what I feel is pretty much a leaderless Packers. They look like it, obviously, on the field right there. I mean, you give up 40 points. You only put up 10. I mean, it's a pretty weak showing.
And the defense put up 7 of that.
The defense put up 7 of that, exactly. And so, I mean, you have no offense whatsoever.
None. Which is surprising because the week before when Matt Flynn came in off of the bench, he brought them back. Like they were down like 16 points in the second from the third quarter.
Where
on.
was Matt Flynn in this one?
I don't know. He had a whole week. Well, he had the couple of days to prepare, I guess. But
Yeah.
so did the Lions.
No Matt Flynn, no nothing.
No Scott Tolzien.
No nothing.
Turns out that preparing for Matt Flynn is as easy as just sending Ndamukong Suh right up the middle and just crushing him.
Yeah.
It's like, go get him. All right, I'll get him.
Yeah.
At this point, and I said this earlier, I would take Matt Schaub and put him on as our second string quarterback because I am desperate. Desperate.
Now,
Did you hear what they also said? That if Aaron Rodgers does not play this week, they are thinking about shutting him down for the season.
Well, if he can't play this week, then there's no point in playing him at all.
Yeah, because they'll lose again.
Yeah.
yeah, because they're 5, 6, and 1.
One.
And they tied with Minnesota. So pretty much they're kind of the outsiders looking in. I mean, they're 2 games back on Detroit. Obviously, Detroit beating them. Detroit wins this division.
Yes.
Yeah.
Detroit wins this division.
It looks like
Detroit does something pretty good in the playoffs, or Detroit
No.
gets
No.
shut down in the playoffs.
No.
I'm sure Detroit does nothing in the playoffs.
Detroit does nothing in the playoffs.
Nothing. Whoever they play first, they will lose to because that team is just not disciplined enough to actually win when it really counts.
And now the Packers are looking for a good backup quarterback.
That's the only,
Yes.
yeah. That's
That is the future of Packers.
Yeah.
Cheese wearing champions over there. Is you need a backup quarterback.
Who
You
knew?
need something.
you put all your eggs into one guy.
And it's proven.
Yeah,
right
they can't
there.
even afford to get a backup quarterback because all of their money
Yeah.
goes to the one starter.
The one starter, exactly. So let's talk about a couple of different things. We've been predicting and giving our 2 cents, so to speak, on what we thought the NFL would look like and what some of our good calls and what some of our bad calls as the season has just lost my word of thought.
Season is transpired.
Has transpired.
Transpired.
What have we seen? And so I'll kick it over to Randy as his top good calls.
Oh, well, yeah, I got like a good call that I can think of.
One.
I got one.
And it's
See-
Glennon out in Tampa
Yeah,
Bay.
it was Glennon winning 3 in a row. No, I didn't think that. But the Houston, earlier in the season, we did a contender-pretender thing. The Houston Texans were 2-1. I thought the team looked soft. They were barely winning the 2 games that they actually did win, so I called them a pretender. They've lost 9 in a row since that team peaked last year. They're in all kinds of trouble. Andre Johnson doesn't want to be there anymore. Matt Schaub shouldn't be there anymore. Should be the backup in Green Bay.
There you go.
Case
There you go.
Keenum, that's not your quarterback of the future.
He doesn't look bad though.
He doesn't look bad, but that's not your quarterback of the future.
No.
But that was a good call by me.
Good
I'm
call.
pretty happy with
a
with
good
that
call.
decision. But
That's
I don't have
That's a
any of them.
great call. That's a great call. What about yours?
My good call was picking the Saints over the Falcons to win the division.
That's a great call.
That was
Great call.
I don't know why, because looking at it, you had the Falcons that had this great offense coming in with. They had Steven Jackson. They picked up Steven Jackson. They had Roddy White. They had Julio Jones, and Tony Gonzalez came back to. So like that was all the talk was about the Falcons, and I'm like, nope, the Saints are going to do it. They got their head coach back, and
they were ready to go.
Yeah, and they've killed it.
And they've done a great job.
And the Falcons have gone the completely other way.
They have been a desperate team out there. Desperate, barely beating the Bills this last week in overtime.
I don't even understand how a team can go from
one game away from the Super Bowl.
From one game away to the Super Bowl, beating the Seattle Seahawks on a miracle play on two Did you remember that? Did you remember watching that? But it's like going from that close to going to the Super Bowl to being one of the worst teams. Now here's the scary part. They are going to get a very high draft pick. Does this team flip it back the other direction? Yeah, I mean, do they pick up a young stud running back instead of Steven Jackson, who's proven to be injury prone the whole time?
Yeah.
Do they flip it back the other way, and next year they are the team that's doing what New Orleans is doing this year?
Well, with their record, they'll get an easy schedule.
Yep, and they'll get a high draft pick. So
they'll flip it around.
We'll see what happens. Another good call.
Not a great call, but I picked the Seahawks over to win the division over the Niners. But
I think it's a pretty good call.
It was a tough call.
The Niners went to the Super Bowl last year, so I mean, I did
pick the Seahawks.
That is a really good call. Really good call. Now, what bad calls do you guys have? Because you guys can't just have good calls, right?
I have Houston winning the division.
Well, that was a terrible call. Why would you do that?
Wait, who did you have winning the division?
I think I picked Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Houston, obviously, a disappointing story this year.
Yeah.
As we have talked about with...
And there was no reason for it. I mean, it wasn't like the Packers where they lost their quarterback. They played horrible.
Well,
unreal.
I mean, I think it kind of goes to show that, watching game film is important. And it was apparent that when this team came out on the field, that everyone watched game film. I need to shut down him and him, set up the box, blitz Schaub, and he'll be inept. And 9 losses in a row, that team is inept. And it didn't seem like, where you see like a Bill Belichick with Tom Brady, when they come in the second half of a game, they have a different game plan. How are we going to win this game? They figured it out. But it seemed like the Texans, which is maybe why Andre Johnson is so frustrated, is that it was the same thing over and over. We know this play's not going to work, but let's run it anyway. Mm-hmm. And there you go.
It's because you have a game manager, and that's all he knows how to run.
Well, and here's the other thing. It's like, if you look at this, Kubiak comes from the Shanahan school, and if you remember, Shanahan didn't make lots of great second-half adjustments. His teams were usually just in the lead.
Yes.
But if you remember second half of seasons towards the end with Jake Plummer and some of those guys, even Jay Cutler, it's like they were making bad decisions. He was running the same stuff over and over again, and people were catching on, and we were losing bad games. I think Kubiak, of course, he went to the Shanahan School of Offense. You never see those teams make adjustments in the second half. Like, you'll see Denver do it. You'll see New England do it. You see
the good teams do it.
They make adjustments in the second half. I think that those guys now are that kind of philosophy is more of a dinosaur, that the West Coast offense is going to just work no matter what.
Right. Good call. Another bad call you made.
Oh, was this team we were just talking about was the Falcons. That was a bad call.
Yeah,
Falcons. I had them not winning their division, but I had them making the playoffs as the wild card. But they're just like Houston. It's the same team from last year, just about, and they just totally tanked.
Yeah,
and there's no explanation for it.
Yeah. Bad preparation. Now they really don't have any injuries over there. I mean, it's obviously that kind of stuff.
Julio Jones.
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, but that's it though. I mean, but it goes to coaching. It really does. I mean, at least you could see it with these two teams that went from being top of the echelon last year to absolutely nothing this year. You don't even have to worry about it. You count them as a win, which is something you just didn't do with this team.
And that's rough, because it's like, to watch. We've seen teams go from worst to first. It's very rare when you see a team that was really good last season just drop off the map and become one of the worst teams in the NFL. Usually they'll drop to around 500 and have a rough season.
Right.
They're never this bad.
Yeah, I would say for me a bad call was T-Rich. I thought that the Colts hit an absolute golden nugget here by getting T-Rich to compliment Andrew Luck and to really put this team above everyone else. And sure enough, It has not done that since he doesn't even average 3 yards a carry. So, unbelievable move by the Browns there to obviously get rid of that salary cap that they would have got hit with. Got some draft picks in there as well. And, man, they look like geniuses over there with the Browns, and the Colts are like.
And the Colts are tanking.
What do we have with T. Rich? Oh yeah, we have a new bench warmer because that's what they did with them, and they put Brown in. So I think obviously it was a bad call. I thought it was going to be worth way more money, and it's not. It's
I think we all made that bad call because we said, okay, this is Cleveland giving up on the season. They were going to go 0-16. This is the worst move they could have ever made. Right. The Cleveland fans should be angry.
Yeah, really, they were angry.
They were.
They were pissed. I would have been pissed too.
But now it should be the Indy fans who should be angry.
Now they're still in playoff hunt in the AFC, and they don't have Trent Richardson. Amazingly. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. That was my bad call, as well as I feel trading or looking to trade Fitzgerald from the Cardinals. Cardinals are in a playoff contention right now. They played against the Eagles last week. They lost, but they played really tough against them. Fitzgerald had a great touchdown. If you guys missed that, where he broke like 2 tackles and ran it in. I think it obviously it's a good call to keep him there. I think that new coach over there, he's starting to find his groove, obviously, and he's just kind of showing with that team. They're starting to gel. They're starting to perform. Their cornerback that they picked up in the draft, is it
Matthew?
Matthew?
Yeah.
Tyrann Matthew.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I saw him lay a stick, and it blew this guy up, and that whole sound was like just pumped. This is like a college football game. So I actually think, it was a bad call by me to say trade Fitz. I think they should keep him over there, and
I think they should trade him to Seattle.
I want everyone to go to Seattle. Sorry, it's not happening.
It's like you want some people to go to Green Bay to help your team. Why is it all of a sudden Seattle?
Yeah,
because I'm just waiting for my quarterback to come back.
So yeah,
which will make all the difference in the world.
I still think Cardinals still need a quarterback, but that's
they need a young quarterback for the future. Carson Palmer's got maybe a couple years left.
Yeah, he's a lot of mileage. Yeah. What about you? Bad call.
Okay, this one I don't even understand how the hell I made it. The Washington Redskins to win their division. They are one of the only teams that is eliminated from the playoffs at this point in the season. I picked them to win the division. That hurts. I mean, I just thought, okay, they went 10-6 last year. They had Alfred Morris. They had RG3. He looked like he would be all right. I thought eventually he would get his stuff together, and they proved last year they could win 7 in a row.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I did not know that their defense was that bad.
Very bad defense. Very, very, very bad defense.
You want to put up big stats, you play the Redskin defense.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's sadly disappointing to see a team implode that looked really, had a lot of promise, last year, winning the tough games against Dallas and what have you. But you look at this team, and they're literally, the coach is not gelling with the quarterback, your starting quarterback. You're not putting up the expectations that everyone obviously had in the Redskins. I mean, you had them to pick the win the division. I felt that they were going to be contender. I didn't think they were going to be that good. The division is tough anyway. But just to see them implode like that, and you're right, the defense, man, we have problems in that defense. I mean, they need some, pass rushers. They need a lot of dynamics over there, especially to be a contender in that division. That division tends to be one of the hardest divisions to actually win out. I mean, the last couple of years, it's always been toward the very end. If this team wins and if that team loses and that team wins the division, I mean, it's always this mathematical equation. And to see the Redskins are like, oh, we're out. See ya. We're gonna go and some draft picks.
They don't even get into this equation. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Do we think Shanahan's back next season?
That's a good question. I personally don't think so. I don't think. First of all, I don't think that it's a good dynamic on any stretch for father and son to be coaching. One's a head coach. One's I believe offensive coordinator or something like that. Kyle Shanahan is. I don't feel that's a good combination because you're always going to act differently with family, right? I mean, you're always going to act differently with family, and it's not working. I'm sorry, it is literally not working. The coaching staff. It's not working in Washington. You have everybody that can perform. You got RG3. You got, yes, it is an aging Santana Moss, but he's consistent. You got Alfred Morris, who was a rookie last year, who blew up. You have those dynamics just alone right there. that any other team, like let's say a Cleveland Browns franchise, would just like, woo, we got our quarterback, we got our running back, we know what we're doing.
Well,
and in this case, with the current staffing, I don't think they know what to do with it. And I think it's time for them to go. Thoughts, Rolf? Tiger Woods? Any thoughts?
Okay, I just stick
What,
to-
Tiger? You don't like Washington? You can't say nothing about it?
Shanahan has to go start playing golf with me.
That's right. There you go. There you go. What do you think?
I really don't know what to tell you about the Redskins. They had, beginning of the season, I thought they'd be good too. I picked the Cowboys, but
To win the division?
to win the division.
Yeah.
But I thought the Redskins would be better than they are. They're just not. I didn't think the Eagles would be this good, and
No.
Right.
and I thought the
With
Giants
the
would
new
be better
coach.
than they are too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that whole division is just completely upside down from what a lot of people were thinking.
Well, yeah, Philadelphia 7-5, Dallas 7-5. The quarterback back and forth in Philly, right?
Yeah.
You start out with the season with Vic, right? Then now we have Foles. Wait, no Vic, healthy. Nope, no Foles, and
That is-
staying with Foles.
Well, the reason I think Philly would be that good was because I don't think Michael Vick is that good.
Yeah,
But Foles has turned out to be great for them this
Yeah.
huge.
yeah, yeah. It's absolutely impressive.
I think the Redskins should have gone with
Cousins.
Cousins in the beginning, let RG3
Heal up.
heal all the way.
Yeah,
I mean,
rather than rush it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they rushed him into it and they just killed their season.
Yeah,
But RG3 was saying he was going to be ready for week 1, and he was not going to let anybody in that organization tell him
Yeah.
he wasn't going to play. So
But
he caused those problems himself.
he did. But I mean, it comes to a point to where he's a second-year vet. That doesn't speak any volumes in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
if you're the coach, you got to make.
You're
the
Peyton
decision.
Manning different.
Yeah.
My time clock is running. I don't have much time. Your RG3, you have 15 years maybe. I don't know. But you don't have to go out there and tear up your knee even more.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, Shanahan understands the politics of it. If you're going to, here's the owner. Do I keep an old coach or do I keep a young dynamic quarterback? Who's going to get fired? Oh, of course, the coach is going to get fired.
Yeah.
So if he starts, making RG3 angry and making him cry,
Yeah.
then he's going to say, "You're out the door," and I'll go hire somebody that'll just play him no matter what he says.
Right. And you know what? I mean, I don't know. I think personally, based on what we're seeing, for example, Green Bay. Green Bay, you don't have a choice. You have Rodgers or you have
No one.
nothing. you have draft
Put the
selection.
kicker in, maybe.
You have draft selection next year, right? I mean, and so, but in Washington, you have Cousins. He's been out there. He's performed.
He's proven
He's
can
proven
win.
he
Yeah.
can win the game. He's proven he'll sling that ball. He's
Yeah.
proven as a leader. I say you take the risk, and obviously, it's hindsight's 20/20. But right here, obviously, it shows that maybe they should have done something like that. Maybe they should have done something like that.
That's what I thought at the beginning, anyway.
Yeah. So, well, that's it. That's it. That's it for us. Week 13. We'll come back and talk some more playoffs. We'll talk about some more controversies and hopefully some better calls than the calls we had. We're out of here. See you next week.